All right. Well, I'm joined by Peter Beyer, an emeritus professor in the Classics and Religious Studies Department at the University of Ottawa, and also a co-investigator with the Non-Religion in a Complex Future project. So, Peter, the new census data has just been released. What's the most important thing that people should think about when they look at this data?
Trends that have been happening for 30 years are continuing to happen, and many at an accelerated rate compared to 10 years ago. Example, the Christians, all categories, are now just barely over half of the population. 10 years ago, they were still 2/3 of the population. The Catholics of all categories have gone down 10% from 40 to 30. The other world religions like Muslims and Buddhists and Hindus are now up at 11%. Of those, without question, the one that's grown the most are the Muslims, who are now over 4% of the population. The other thing that I notice is that among the Christian groups, of all shapes and descriptions, they do well to maintain their numbers. Even many of the groups that are not the main line and things like that have shrunk slightly. And people like, Latter-day Saints, Mennonites, Jehovah's Witnesses have kind of held their own, right? But a lot of that has to do with the patterns of immigration, right? As opposed to, ability to grow and maintain one's membership or one's affiliates.
What about the nuns? Any?
Oh yeah, I figured the nuns would be a separate question. Well,
okay.
Then accordingly, there's something like 35%, right, of the various nun categories, most of which people just tick no religion because it's a tick box, and that's up from 24-25%. But we've known this for quite some time, that it would be in the mid-30s or higher, right? Here it is in the mid-30s, and that's in line with all the trends that we've been noticing. The big mainline ones are continuing to lose major ground. The people who used to be 90% of the population are now 38, right, something like that. And most of those are Catholics, as they always have been. Yeah, the mainline decline, United Church, Anglican, Presbyterian, Lutheran, is continuing almost apace. The Anglicans in the United States are still over 1 million people each, right? But compared to what they used to be, it's quite a shrinkage.
Was there anything that surprised you about the data?
No, I haven't. I mean, as I said, it only was released 8:30 this morning. I've had lots of other things to do, and I've had a look, and it's the only thing that I would say is slightly surprising is the degree of change in some of these categories. I wouldn't have thought that the Catholics would have lost fully a quarter of their affiliates in terms of numbers, especially since Catholics benefit from immigration. I also looked at the immigration patterns, and there are some interesting changes there. The people coming from China and are not as at the same level. I mean, there's lots of immigrants from China still, but not at the same level it used to be. India is even more. Africa, all sections of Africa, we seem to, in the last 10 years, have gotten 4 more immigrants, other than the obvious stuff like, the sudden appearance of 80,000 Syrians, right? So that has something to do with religion because of the close connection between country of origin or ethnicity and religious identity. So that, all those Africans, they're overwhelmingly in the southern part Christian and in the northern part Muslim. And so they have been significantly contributing to the typical Christian identities, including Catholic, that they carry, and Pentecostal and stuff like that. And they're not mainline, right? They don't belong to the Anglican Church very often, or Lutheran or something like that. So there's that relationship between immigration and religious identity that has continued.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Peter. This is really fascinating to get your take on this.
Well, I'll be interested to see when, when the devil is in the details, and when I start getting into some of the details. Look, another, just to give you an example of a question, the people Christian not otherwise specified have grown again, right? Clark and McDonald spent a lot of time trying to figure out what kind of Christians these people are, and it's a very, very mixed answer. So again, these generic Christians, that's a growth group, right? But what does it mean? So those kinds of details, right?
No, it's definitely fascinating, and yeah, look forward to sort of digging more into the data.